From the heart of the Appalachian Hills, nestled in between an outhouse and a moonshine still, comes the twosome of unparalleled levels of cool. She loves her mountain magic and he's a folk-telling carny fool. Prepare to hear legends from Bigfoot to Loki as they try to decipher what in the actual hell is a hokey. She's the black-veiled beauty and my goodness he's got a purty mouth. They've escaped the land of lobsters and returned to the haunted South. Welcome to the Paranormal Sideshow with your hosts, John and Stacey Edwards of ParanormalSideshow.com. Hello and welcome to the Paranormal Sideshow. I'm your host, John Edwards, and joined as always by my lovely wife, Stacey.
Hello.
And we seen a pretty scary movie.
It was so scary.
It was somewhat scary. I don't know if it was the theater was scary.
Yes, it was.
The theater was very scary. We went to go see it with Cody, and we were completely just the three of us, right? And there was, I love it when there's nobody else in a theater. But this theater we went to years ago, we won't say the name of it just to protect the innocent.
Right.
But we went to it years ago, and it was like a new theater then, and we moved away and all this stuff. And we went back, and it was just, it reminded us of the Tri-City 7 that is so haunted. It reminded us of that, the musty
The
old
atmosphere.
theater smell.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's still a nice theater. It's just that we went to go see The Nun, and in this just great movie it's in the Conjuring universe. Obviously, nice little tie-in. No spoilers here. Spoiler-free zone. But the coolest thing, we had the story from The Nun.
Yes, from the director who had the ghost sighting.
Yes.
Whatever, why they were filming. That was a couple episodes ago.
Right, in Romania. And we love when movie sets attack tonight on Fox. But, it was one of those cool things where that the place they're filming at's haunted.
Right, and it's real. It's not just a set.
Yeah, and there's a lot of sacrilegious stuff, and so we're sitting in the theater, and it's just, I don't know, it's a creepy vibe, and the door shakes. The exit door in the theater, that mysterious exit door that goes to God knows where, right?
It probably exits.
Does anybody really know where the exit door goes?
I don't know.
Other than people that work there.
I don't know.
That's one of those big mysteries that we just accept, right?
Right.
Because theoretically, you would think there'd be another theater beside it. Am I right?
You would think so. And see, I never use that exit door because I always have to go back into the theater and use the bathroom.
Right. I'm talking about the emergency exit door that has the big exit sign.
I think you can actually exit that way.
Well, I would hope so. I would hope so. I would think that by now the fire marshal would have figured that plot out, right?
Right.
But it's just, that bothers me. It's got to bother other people.
I'm sure.
It's the freaking exit door there. And I hope to God that I'm never in a theater when there's like fire, when it's one of those things and you have to run and go through the fake
weird
door.
Exit door.
Yeah, the exit door to freaking Oz or whatever. I don't know where it's going.
Well, now this theater we were in for this scary movie, we were the only ones in there, which made it a little creepier.
Yeah. We were sitting there, and there was some kind of weird light coming from the projectory.
Is that what it's called? The projectory?
The projectory. It's because we were watching a movie with Catholic stuff in it. Sounds like what they would call it, right?
Right.
Excuse me, Father Raymond, could you go to the projectory and check on that film? But it was, there was something up there. It was like there was two ravens humping up there or something.
It was strange.
It was weird. It was crazy. But, all that aside, it was a fun time. What's not so fun is the fact that this hurricane is affecting a good portion of our listeners.
It is.
So, that sucks, and we really hate that. It's as at airtime, it's decreasing in wind speed,
right,
quite significantly. But it looks as if it's going to drop a mountain of rain.
Yeah, I think it's going to stall. They're predicting that it's going to stall and just rain like crazy.
They're predicting that, which means it could go back to Bermuda.
Yeah, you never know.
You really never know. But our thoughts and prayers from the show are with you, everybody who's affected. And, if you are affected and you're down to 20% on your phone and you have no electricity, this is a good way to go. Just, let us talk you out, and just listen to us. That's really going to be horrible if it ends up being a tragedy.
Right.
That's one of those back edits where if it ends up being like a terrible Katrina level event,
right,
we're going to go back and scrub that. We're gonna have to call somebody up and get some whitewash on that. No, seriously, man, we're completely with you guys, and in fact, we're personally affected. Stacy's sister's down there right now, and we're trying to get her to evacuate since she's on the freaking beach
on the coast of North Carolina.
Yeah, but it's one of those things that just happens, and you just really never know. Their projection models are always. There's so many spaghetti models to these things. There's you would think this day and time, right? This day and time, we might be able to figure out. Possibly,
but I mean, weather's very unpredictable.
Unpredictable by nature.
Yes.
And getting more so, it seems. And speaking of unpredictable, we went to a University of Tennessee Vols game.
That was really fun.
It was.
I got sunburnt.
You did, but the really fun part of it was the fact of the rain delay.
Yes.
The storm delay. Speaking of storms.
Yes.
The storm that wasn't. And I loved it when they showed it on the big Tron up there.
Right.
They're like, and the models were showing the storm going around Knoxville.
Right.
And everybody's just mad.
My favorite part was the announcer who kept going, "This is not an emergency, but get off the seating area."
Yeah, it was. I was trying to explain to Stacy. I was like, "We're not leaving. We're not going to move from our seats. Just don't stand near the aluminum. It's of the seats. If you stay on the concrete, you'll be fine." A lot of fun though. Good game. Just a good time in general. Nice to get out and see a college football game.
Yes.
And totally, boy, are we back in the South. My God, storms. Just football. It's just full on southernness all over the place.
Yes.
And we've had some weird stuff going on around the house.
Yeah, we have.
The new house here. It's been some weird stuff. Some weird little things out of the corner of the eyes, and some weird sounds, and a door opening on its own.
We've been here long enough now. Like when you first move in, it's kind of quiet usually, but then after everything's settled and you've been here a while, then things start getting curious.
Yeah, they've been getting very curious.
Coming out and checking out what's going on.
Yeah, they've came out and they were very curious, but now they've came out. Yes, that's exactly how it's happened. Just some strange things, some us things that's been happening, but yeah, door wide freaking open. We've been having some whispers and things like that. So fun stuff. That's when we know we've actually got the character into place.
That's right.
It's I don't know. I blame the Himalayan salt lamp. I think we had it on too high, and it brought in all kinds of spirits.
Perhaps it's because all of our stuff finally arrived, and I've unpacked it. Maybe I've just unpacked the box with the spirits in it. This is what's happened.
Next time, I think you should label that box.
Probably.
Just like ghost inside, dead inside. That's my favorite part ever of The Walking Dead, right?
Yes.
The very first episode. So I had a long day today at #BruceWayneJob.
Right.
And it was, I got to do some fun stuff in the morning, got to see some of my favorite people, and then I had to do part of an inventory and that
exciting.
kind of stuff. Oh yeah, just territory stuff, right?
Right.
Just a lot of fun. But besides being able to see some of the people that I actually enjoy seeing at #BruceWayneJob, one of the funny parts was did something with a film crew about something. Okay, I can't really go into any of that.
Right.
But there was a film crew, and I just thought I'd have some fun. And I was like, hey, let me show you what I've done. And pulled out the Ghost Brothers and some of that stuff.
Right.
Some of that kind of stuff. It's funny watching people. Yeah. It's just funny watching people. Like when you're in one environment where you're completely brutally honest, I don't know how to put my persona at work because that's That's me. They're all me. Right. But there's a different you have to be at certain times, right?
Right.
So 90% of the time, I'm being this other person.
You're a very professional you.
And I shut that off and everything with, and become, and when I do this, it's my enjoyment, my escape. This is my passion.
Right.
This is what I love to do. I love to do it with you, and I love to do the show. And it's a lot of fun, right?
Right.
So it's just
I'm glad that's not the you at work.
right. Well, I really like some of those guys. It's a good time, but it's funny when that brutal me, I'll just call it the brutal me, that is very, I am hell-bent on being the best at what I do and making others the best around me.
Right.
That's probably more important to me. I like making people better than they knew they were.
Right.
That's really what intrigues me and excites me, is just really the pulling people up that then to a level they didn't think they could be at.
Right.
And that really excites me, making people's lives better. Because I've been there before where I wish somebody had done that for me. And that's one of the most rewarding things ever. It's kind of like in the paranormal, honestly, is when I know what kind of shows you're happening to listen to. Right. And you listen to our show. It makes me feel good because I know, oh my God, you actually were entertained. That makes me feel good. I'm just playing, obviously. Yeah, it's just joking around. But now I love popping stuff from brutal me to being like, oh, hey, by the way, look at this. Because it really just confuses people.
Right.
It just confuses.
Were they impressed?
Oh, yeah. How can you not be impressed? It's me.
Of course.
It's me. But yeah, it's kind of like making a mean face at someone, just a big scowl, and all of a sudden like flashing a smile and going back to mean face real quick.
They're all confused.
Yeah, just completely confused. They don't know what to do. Just like they do when they go to paranormalsideshow.com. That's your place to find out everything cool about John and Stacy. That's all there. Everything's there. It's all there for you. And I see dead people. All the YouTube, all the Facebook, all the tweeting, everything is there. All your links. I don't even have to go through it all. Even the hot damn Instagram. It's all there. So just go to paranormalsideshow.com. You can find Stacy's news stories, follow along, play at home. It's the play at home version, like the old game shows. The big thing we need you to do, however you listen, subscribe and leave us a review. You know what? We've got so many listeners. Just so many listeners out there. And when we look at the numbers, we see some really favorable numbers for this administration. We've got so many numbers, all the numbers. And those numbers, what we need you to do is turn those into something beautiful. Let's, even if you don't normally use iTunes or something, why don't you go to iTunes, create an account just for us and leave a review saying, oh my God, we love you. Whatever, even if you like me very much and love Stacy, however you want to do it, just leave a review. The reviews are great. Every time you leave a review, a soul gets sent to heaven. From what we heard, yeah, it's really
that's how it works.
I think so. Yeah. They're all stuck in one of our boxes, and for everyone that we see, Stacy's going to be like, John, somebody left a good review, and I'm going to open the box a little bit. Ding. There'll be a little bell ring. Bing. So
you're gonna open it just enough for one to get out.
Oh yeah, you can see it comes. It's gonna go up there. So however you listen, though, I mean, I don't care where it's at. Just please leave a review, subscribe, get the show out there, share it with your friends, tell people, hey, this is my guilty pleasure. This is just my pleasure. However you want to do it, or just my guilt. just whatever it happens to be. And if you really want to support the show, there is something called Patreon. And if you go to patreon.com/paranormalsideshow, baby, it's not Paranormal. I mean, it could be Paranormal Sideshow, baby, but that would be a really weird Patreon.
It would.
I might create that, like one of those little haunted dolls. It's like Paranormal Sideshow, baby. Please donate. She needs your help for baby food.
Oh, we'd scare people away.
I don't know. We wouldn't scare these people away.
No, probably not.
These are our people.
Yeah, true.
They like little fanged babies, just like we do. No, there's a lot of cool, groovy stuff on there. Just go check it out. I'll change things up. It only took 62 episodes, but I decided to change things up. I might actually make it like roll better next week.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, you know.
I guess we'll see.
We guess we will. Challenge me, woman. It's I think it's the hurricane.
Oh.
I really do. I think the hurricane's kind of messing with everything.
I think so.
Canceled a lot of college football games.
It did.
Yeah.
It did.
And for whatever reason, let me tell you something crazy. Aside from the conversations we have when we're not on the air, it's like we were having a very paranormal conversation, and we had to do an edit. So we stopped the recording and we turned it back on, and we're talking about something totally not paranormal. And it's so funny because when we were off the air, we're talking about stone tape theory, and we're having this really high level like conversation. And it's like, all right, well, let's start
about
recording
theories
again.
And stuff.
And okay, poop. You know, it's just, it's one of those yay moments. My good friends will know what I'm referring to there, but one of our yay moments. Yay. I don't know. It's pretty funny. We were arguing. No, we weren't arguing. I was arguing the validity of such theories. And, you know, just because we live near a train now. Hi, Tim Clark.
Yes.
I love you, Tim Clark. But every time we were on an investigation near a train, and said train would go by, Tim would stop like a pointer dog, you know, like there was a bird in the tree, and be like, what's going on? And be like, there's a train. And it's shaking the ground. It's stone tape theory. It's shaking the ground. And in my head, I always just pictured, you know, you're shaking the limestone and the ghost just pops out and it plays like a message from you know, Princess Leia, and it's just like help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, boo, I'm a ghost. It's not a stupid theory,
Right.
but the way that it is in my head,
Right.
it's hard for me to,
it's very cartoony in your
it's
head.
hard for me to get past that.
Right.
Okay. I know there's a lot of people that are just like, well, it's because of this, and this stuff records. It's kind of like,
Right.
it's like quartz, right?
Right.
I mean, we use quartz as the basis for our computers. And
I mean, it's a very solid theory with a lot of science behind it. Or
I mean, we use these things to run your iPhones. Okay. And to keep all this memory. So in theory, you know, I'm sure that this can happen. I'm sure that impressions can be left on houses and stuff. I don't have a real doubt of that, because I can feel that when I walk into an old house.
right.
Right. I can feel that when I walk into a tragedy. And there's things that's been there. There's impressions. Houses have feelings and moods even. You know,
absolutely.
I feel like sometimes it just feels different, almost like a human. Like it's just really strange. And a lot of times I think it's what you put into it. It's as well, you know. And I know, looking back at our houses, how our relationship was influences how I look at that house.
Well, true.
At that point in time. And I believe that we probably fueled those homes with what level of paranormal activity we allowed to happen there.
Right.
If that makes any sense there.
It does. It does. And, you know, who knows what kind of things we brought into those houses and left behind.
Oh, absolutely.
For the next people that live there.
Absolutely. It's kind of like that report that every guy that sleeps with you retain a bit of their DNA.
Is that even a true report?
It's I've cited it before because it's something I read.
Right.
But I mean, it was on Facebook. I have to believe it, right?
Oh, it's absolutely true. If it was on Facebook.
Facebook would never try to mislead me, right?
Of course not.
There's no political bias or anything like that. Please don't tell me there is.
No. You're perfectly safe.
All right. And Google's fine?
All good.
Okay.
All good.
All right. All right. Well, as long as that's the case, then I think it's time for some paranormal news.
so let's get to the news. Okay, so this first story is a really strange thing that's happening that there's no explanation for. This is about the National Solar Observatory in Sunspot, New Mexico. And it has actually been closed and evacuated, but nobody knows why.
Yes, that is very strange.
It is very strange. So it's the National Solar Observatory. Like I said, it's in Sunspot, New Mexico, and it's been closed since last Thursday. But they've also closed the post office. There's a post office really close to the observatory, and the FBI came in, and everyone was told to evacuate. But no explanation was given even to local authorities. Absolutely have no idea. The local authorities were asked to come up and make sure that people evacuated, but the FBI was not forthcoming with any information or any reasons or any timeline for how long it would be closed.
It's very strange.
Now, there is an article from the Alamogordo Daily News, which is the local, like a local
Right.
newspaper.
Right, not exactly your paper of record.
They claim that it was temporarily closed due to a security issue. So that's the word now. That is a, quote, security issue, but nobody's really addressing what that security issue is. Just that they've decided to vacate the facility as a precautionary measure.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, they did an interview with the local sheriff there, and his name is Benny House.
Yeah.
The county sheriff. And he said that there was a Black Hawk helicopter, that there was a bunch of people around some antennas, and that there were work crews on towers, but nobody would tell them anything that was going on. And, you know, him and his guys, they went up there to make sure everybody evacuated. Everything was good. He said there was no threat and nobody would identify any specific threats. So they just left. There wasn't any reason for them to be there. And even though the FBI told them that they would be evacuating, they didn't say when it would reopen or when those people would be able to go back. And even the people that work at the post office were just transferred to another post office to work.
Well, I mean, I was looking on maps and it's like right in between Roswell and White Sands. Yeah,
it's in a really unusual location. Now, I do know that there's another observatory. It's not a solar observatory, but I think there's another observatory fairly close to this one, but I don't believe that it's been closed.
Yeah.
So that's really strange, too.
I mean, it's all strange. And I mean, it's not like, I don't know, man. I wonder if they've seen something or if they've been exposed to something.
You know, I don't know. See, at first, my first thought was that maybe they saw something. But there are a lot of solar observatories and none of the other ones were closed. So that leads me to believe that maybe they didn't specifically see something they didn't see. That probably it's something about this specific location that is a security threat. And they did talk to a woman named Sherry Lifson. She is the spokeswoman for the Association of Universities for Research in Astronomy. They're called AURA. Isn't that nice?
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. And they manage the facility. They co-manage the facility. And so she did make a statement saying that they're just addressing a security issue and that they decided to vacate the facility on their own as a precautionary measure, that it was their decision. They weren't being made to do it. Like, people that work there are not federal employees or anything like that. And that was all that she said. She didn't clarify what the threat was or when it would be reopened. So...
But the FBI came in.
The FBI did come in, which is really strange, and they came in quickly.
Yeah. No, it sounds like crap to me.
Yeah.
And it's been too long.
Right.
And we still don't know anything about it.
And the local sheriff made a good point. He was like, if there was a person at the facility that was maybe being threatened or something like that, or, people speculated, well, the post office was closed, maybe something arrived in the mail that was suspicious, but they would let the sheriff's office know about that. That wouldn't be something. Made news. Yeah, that wouldn't be something that the FBI would hide.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, very strange.
And like you said, the area, because the post office as well. So I don't know, man. That it's very mysterious.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I like stories like this, or like hikers that go missing and show up in California.
Right.
Stuff like that makes you go, huh?
Yeah.
I'll probably never find out the answer to that.
No, and it'll just, I don't know, eventually it'll reopen and nobody will ever know anything.
We'll forget it happened.
Yeah, everybody will forget that it happened.
The mind wipe.
That's a real thing.
I think it is.
It is. It's happened to us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely.
So obviously, conspiracy theories are just blowing up right now about this because of how strange it is. But they're not doing anything to allay those fears. You know, they're not like trying to give a cover story or anything. They're just not saying anything.
Right.
So I don't know. Very strange.
So you said allay their fears. Is that like when a bullfighter is like, olay, and the bull misses and goes running because it's
something
not,
like that.
We're not afraid of the bull anymore because he's obviously stupid and chases the color red.
No, it's just a saying. It just means, you allay their fears. You put them to rest. You make them feel better.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not the same word.
No, it's not ole.
Oh.
It's allay, like with an A.
Oh.
Yeah.
I bet the root word's still Latin.
I'm sure probably. I have no idea.
From the Latin root word lay, meaning fear-mongering, something or another, scary, go away, I'm fine. I don't know. It's always a Latin root word. Do you think the bulls are just morons?
Oh, because they do it over and over again?
Well, I mean, why do they do it more than once?
I don't know. Not the bulls don't always miss. I don't think.
Does somebody put a red sheet on and just slap the bull around? And it's like ever since birth, it's like, and they get it out.
And they hate red.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know.
No, they hate the sheet.
Yeah, I don't know that much about bullfighting, but the bull does hit the bullfighter sometimes, I would think. So maybe it's like the lottery. Maybe they know that eventually it's going to happen.
I don't know. Well,
it's a 1 in a million chance, but
if we have any like bull, I think it's still a popular thing.
Is it?
In Spain.
Maybe.
I mean,
possibly.
I think it's still a popular thing. If we have anybody who can explain the bullfighting rules to us,
that would be nice.
Please send us a letter. Every time I ask, we have listeners all over the world. Yeah. Every time I ask, I get a response.
I'm pretty sure we had somebody that explained what kudzu was to you after you mentioned it.
Yes, we did have somebody explain kudzu to me, which I appreciate.
Yes. I didn't know what it was either.
Well, yeah, we know now, and knowing is half the battle.
That's right.
G.I. Joe. Sorry, it's a boy thing. You just had to be there.
I never watched G.I. Joe. Was not my favorite cartoon.
Yeah, well, some of us were more supportive of the other gender. I watched Jim and the Holograms and absolutely loved it.
I didn't watch Jim and the Holograms either.
I watched She-Ra.
You know why I didn't watch those cartoons?
No.
You're going to think this is silly. I didn't like the animation.
What was wrong with the animation?
Well, my favorite cartoons were like Bugs Bunny and Scooby-Doo. I like that real bubbly animation.
Oh my God.
I don't know. And I didn't like the animation
on the realism?
I guess so. I don't know. I was a kid. I don't know.
It's they have 5 fingers. I hate it.
It was something like that.
I mean, really?
I don't know. I mean, I was a kid and I would try to watch.
I hate the 3-finger stuff. Like that really bothers me. It really does. It was just like, oh.
All right.
And the oversized shoes.
Right.
I can't stand stuff like that. I like the realism. I suppose. Go look at the animation on like heavy metal. That's the kind of stuff I like. It's stuff like the sci-fi fantasy, late
realism.
70s, early 80s.
Right.
What's wrong with that? Sci-fi fantasy is more realistic than a cross-dressing bunny.
I know, but not as much fun.
And an evil mouse that has it in for a poor little house cat.
Poor innocent
that's trying to do his job.
Yeah.
His job. It's his house. It's his house. She's like, Thomas, please watch the house. Be a good cat. And he watches the house. And this vagrant in the wall that is not supposed to be there. He is not supposed to be there. Steals the food. Cat's just doing his job. Gets hit with things.
Right.
People think it's funny.
What about the bird?
Well, we're not talking about the bird, are we?
Yeah, but what about when Tom tries to eat the bird?
I didn't bring up the bird. The bird, Tom was cleared of all charges.
Right.
There's laws against trying him again.
I see. The statute of limitations is over for that.
It's all done. It's all done. Let's move on. I don't want to talk anymore about this. Bring up the bird.
All right. Well, let's move on.
Explain to me the French cousin. So how did he get there?
You talking about the cat's French cousin or the mouse's French cousin?
The mouse's French cousin. Was there a French cousin for the cat?
I mean, I think so.
Really?
I don't know, maybe.
Thomas?
Yeah. I think so.
Tomas? Go ahead. Oh my God.
All right. Let's move on to an update, shall we?
Let's.
All right. So this is an update about the embassy workers that had been injured, traumatic brain injury.
Yes.
We've talked about it several times. And this is just an article talking about how a lot of experts agree now that it's the prime suspect.
It's affected the entire government.
Yes, the prime suspect is definitely microwave weapons.
Sorry. This just in, the entire government of the United States of America has been affected by this brain warping.
Boy, that's truer than not. They agree that, even though they don't have definite confirmation, most of them agree that it is some kind of microwave weapon.
Yes.
That is the culprit. And of course, the scientists in Cuba are like, no, that can't possibly be what it is. But I did see another article where somebody off the record said that there is evidence that it's possibly Russia. Don't know how true that is because, the Russia thing.
Yes.
But that there wasn't enough evidence to make a formal.
Of course not. Just no.
Accusation.
Just move on.
So, just a little update that they are still looking into it, and they are saying that it's probably microwave weapons, which I think is what we said, or you were predicting that it was going to end up being the microwave weapons.
That's exactly what it was. I think that it's probably a very old embassy that had a microwave from like the 60s.
One of those humongous ones that you can't break.
And they're just, that dims the lights when you turn it on. Did you ever have one of those?
Our first microwave, you couldn't run anything else in the house while you were microwaving
you
something.
turn it on and the lights are like zzz. It's just like
your food's like glowing.
It takes 11 minutes to make a Hot Pocket. It's just like, well, it's getting kind of warm.
It's my 50-watt microwave.
Of course, this is not what a microwave weapon is, but weaponized microwaves are completely different.
That is quite the idea, isn't it?
It's revolutionary to the spy market. No, it's really terrible what's been going on, as you can tell from my voice.
Why is that microwave as big as the oven? I don't understand.
Hey, Milton, did you switch the microwaves out? What? The microwave. This large microwave in here. No, it's got a Russian sickle on the side of it. Looks like a Russian sickle. It says this is absolutely not from Russia.
It says made in Taiwan.
It's got the turn dial on it.
The door doesn't close exactly right. I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah, there's a slight hole in the top. Looks like there's some forks inside. And remnants of a cat. No, oh my God. The on with the story here.
Right.
It's been going on for quite a while. Mm-hmm. And yes, that is the first theory that was thrown out there. Of course, I pictured more of a Boris and Natasha kind of thing myself with,
right.
With the gun that looks kind of like the thing, when you don't want the dog to scratch.
Right.
And you put the thing.
The big cone on his neck.
The cone. Right.
Right.
Well, I don't picture them holding a dog that's doing this, but that cone on the end of a gun.
Right.
And standing outside, and it's like.
And you see the little waves coming out of the end?
Yeah, like the one guy's holding the gun, and then it's got a big cord, like a twisty cord right. to a box that the woman's holding.
Right.
And it's like, and there's like, the Spaghetti-O things that keep getting bigger.
Right.
And it's going into, like, if we were looking at the animation.
Right.
That's what I picture every time we talk about the story. And
I'm sure it's exactly like that, actually.
And why, what are they really achieving here? Like, it's a slight irritation, right? It's like I suppose if it hadn't been caught, it probably would have done some pretty severe damage. Yeah, eventually. People were getting sick. Well, I've been having the ear stuff for quite a long time.
The tinnitus.
Yeah. For quite a long time. So I can feel them on that.
Right.
I've wondered about that. I really truly think that it's some kind of agent. Yes.
Well, if there are any further updates, I don't know if there will be. If there are any further updates, we'll keep you updated. So.
Is that how that works?
Yes. That's how updates work, amazingly enough. All right. Well, let's move on to this next story. This is a very strange story, another mystery for you.
Oh, cool.
Okay. So this is about...
mystery shoes.
This is about an airport in Tulare County, California. And it's called Porterville's Municipal Airports. And so it's just a small airport.
It's already a mystery because it's called Porterville's Airport, but it's in Tennierville.
It's in Tulare County.
Tulare County.
Yes, in California.
I thought you said Tennierville. I would have never found that on a map.
Never. You can look for it. There might be a Tennierville.
Tennierville?
I don't know.
Tennierville.
So in 2 days,
yes,
2 planes actually had accidents there. Not severe accidents, but both of the pilots claimed that they felt a pulling sensation on the planes before they went down, which is really, really odd. So it all started when the pilot of a small aircraft was actually landing, and the pilot told the officers that when she was landing, her aircraft began pulling, and she couldn't control the plane, and she slammed into an airport marker near the end of the runway. Now, it was just it wasn't a major crash. She wasn't injured, and we don't know if there's anybody with her, but she did report it because, you have to report stuff like that. Of course. So the plane and the sign didn't have hardly any damage, and she was able to taxi toward the hangars, but she just thought how strange it was that she had that pulling sensation that she was not able to control the plane. So then less than 24 hours later, another pilot is actually lucky to be alive. His was a little more serious. And
somebody pulled his harder.
Was trying to take off.
Right.
He wasn't landing. He was trying to take off, but the plane began pulling, and when it came off the ground a little bit, pulled and flipped over.
Oh.
And he ended up crashing. So he said that his aircraft began pulling to the left and veered off the runway. And then as he attempted to maneuver it to recover, it began to lift and ultimately overturned. So, he had firefighters and paramedics and the police. They rushed to the scene. He was not injured, and the plane suffered moderate damage, but he also had that strange pulling sensation.
Did anybody interview them and ask them about their gauges or...
Not according to this article that I know of. I know that they did notify the FAA and that the National Transportation Safety Board was also notified. It doesn't say whether there's an investigation going on. The only other information from this article, it talks about some of the history of that particular airport because it's in a very rural area, but that it was founded in 1946. When the property was transferred to the city, it used to be an Army airfield.
Right.
So that was all the information they basically had. It was so strange to have this weird, sensation.
So they could have a UFO buried underneath, and since they've all showed up, it's going to reactivate like Independence Day.
Very possibly. It was an Army airfield.
Yes.
They used it. I think they opened it in 1942. So it was open for quite some time.
It's the exciting times.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it was.
the World War II and all that good stuff. Yeah. Yes. So that's interesting. Weird.
It's
definitely
very
weird story.
Weird and interesting.
We've had a lot of weird stories. I mean, they're not recent, but weird stories we've read with local little airports and stuff. I know in Maine we had the one with the time slip that we love so much, right?
Yes.
And a lot of little airport stories like that makes it, I wonder what kind. We're gonna have to do a little book on just weird stories from local airports.
The small airports. All the weird stuff happens at the little ones.
Oh yeah.
The big airports, they can cover that stuff up.
Yeah, they won't tell you.
Exactly.
But you can go down there and talk to Hank at the,
buy him a beer.
Tunier County.
All the stories
at the Tunier County Airport. Be like, hey Hank, it's what kind of weird stuff's happened here?
Yeah, so I
thought the cows wandered on the field once. It's an ugly sight. It was just an ugly sight.
Couldn't get them out of the way in time.
Yeah, we spread them back around Farmer Johnson's farm and told him they must have been abducted by aliens because of all the burns and tire marks. It's hard to believe that Cessna is able to go off its back and still get up in the air.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, let's move on. It's funny you should mention cows. Our next story has to do with cows. You segued without even knowing that you segued. You're like the segue master.
I am a segue master.
All right. So I've got a couple of stories here that are just keep on going with the strange here. So you remember last week we did the story about the sheep. About the sheep that were drained of all their blood. Remember this strange story? And they had just the little holes in their necks and legs and things like that.
Yes, and the little sheep vampire.
Yes. Well, this is a story from Australia.
Oh, God.
From a North Queensland couple that have been left baffled by a bizarre finding on their property, which is that their cows were dead and found in the paddock with their udders, ears, and tongues removed. Surgically removed. We talked about this.
Yes.
Remember when we talked about the sheep?
Right.
You mentioned about how animals, would show up with surgical precision.
Did they have their anuses?
I do believe they still had their anuses. It does not say there was anus removal.
Damn it.
So this couple, Mick and Judy Cook, they were working on their property, and it was in Cloverly. And Mr. Cook noticed that there was a dead cow carcass. Now, they have lots of property.
Right.
And he noticed there was a dead cow carcass, which appeared to have its body mutilated. Its entire udder, ears, and tongue were removed. And he said, and he quoted, in the article, that it was like it had been surgically removed. And he said, I certainly couldn't do as neat a job with a very sharp knife. And it definitely was not an animal that did it. And at first, he said he thought it might have been poisoned or something like that. But then he saw that the body parts were missing and that there was no blood, even where the parts had been removed. There was no sign of a struggle. The cow was just dead.
Wow.
So he said there was no, reason for it, no rhyme for it. There wasn't any kind of, tracks or anything to let him know what had happened. So he traveled a little further down on his property. It's pretty rough terrain. So it took him about an hour to drive down, and he found another dead cow, which he said it looked like it had been dead for a little bit longer, like, they just hadn't discovered it, but that it also had been mutilated in the same way. And so they talked to a local veterinarian who said that in his 40 years of working in the industry, he works with livestock a lot. I guess in his area, he had never heard or seen anything like it. It was that crazy.
And this guy's a vet in Australia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he's seen some pretty crazy stuff.
That's like being an underwater welder.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hey, I think that pays pretty good.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, in this, they asked whoever did the article asked the Queensland police if they had been notified, and they said that they had not. But Mr. and Mrs. Cook said that they tried to contact them unsuccessfully, and I guess they just gave up after a while. I don't know.
What does that even mean? Did they get the wrong number or something? And
I don't know.
Well, we tried.
Yeah.
Good day.
I tried once. Nobody answered. We gave up. I don't know. So very strange with the no blood and the...
It really is.
It's strange that you had just said something about, the cows and the things being removed. And then there's a story about it.
Well, I mean, it's been a while since we had a good cattle mutilation story.
Right. So very, very strange.
So what do you think the aliens do with the cows? Because it's obviously what happened.
I don't know. And... being in Australia,
unless there's some weird aborigine out there with like a tongue necklace,
that's a surgeon as well.
Just happened to be the Aboriginal surgeon.
Well, being in Australia, you would think that there are tons of animals that could have done something like that, but not so precisely. And obviously they have a lot of land. They're out in the middle of nowhere. His closest neighbor is really far away, so who knows what could have happened.
Well, I mean, I would guess that it was a UFO abduction.
Probably.
Myself. I mean, I don't know, with all the evidence of that over the years, and all the craziness with the no blood and, and that's weird having it happen on different continents. And it seems like that kind of stuff is ramping up right now.
Yes,
and
it does.
It's a true phenomenon, because what's so crazy about it is after all these years, we still don't have an answer.
No, I know. It's just as much of a mystery as it ever was.
That's like what Linda Moulton Howe like made her name on was that kind of story and stuff. And it got to go back that far even, and there's no answers on it. And it's what really bothers me about it. It's one of the more morbid parts, to this. And I don't know, it's very creepy. I wouldn't want to find an animal that was missing tongues and eyes, and
it's also really strange how long it's been going on and the similarities. Like if you look up, cattle mutilation cases, there's so many similarities in every single case.
Yeah,
like with the surgical precision and the parts that are missing and things like that.
And the no blood. That's the really.
Yes. Now I know if you read on it, there is an explanation for the no blood, a quote scientific explanation that supposedly the blood coagulates and makes it appear that there isn't any.
I'll take that.
And that could be the case. I don't know enough about animals to know
I even
if
thought
that's the
about
case or
the
not.
Udders being the fact that an animal would probably eat the udder.
Right.
And because of obvious reasons, and the ears, I don't see, that doesn't make sense, right?
No, and the tongue,
and to get the tongue all the way out.
Right. Well, I would think that a bird could do that maybe, but not surgically. Like it wouldn't be so precise.
Right.
It would be like picked at and torn. So I don't know, very strange. But, you did say that it's been ramping up and stuff like that. And actually my next story is a similar type story, but from a different area.
Segue.
Yes. So this is a story from Puerto Rico. And at first it doesn't seem like the same kind of story because the headline says that there was a, quote, gargoyle spotted in Puerto Rico.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I thought this was going to be a cool story. So when I started reading it, it turns out that over the last 6 weeks, residents in the town of Barceloneta have had several of their chickens and roosters killed by an unknown predator that sucked the blood from them.
Wow.
So there you go. You have it again, this time in Puerto Rico. And eventually, one member of the community alleged that they saw a creature that was believed to be behind the attacks. And he swears, he told a local media outlet, that he saw what he calls a gargoyle in flight, that there was no doubt about it, that he was sitting in a pool during the full moon when he had like a shadow that passed overhead. You know how it blocks out the light? Yeah. And he looked up, he saw a 5-foot tall winged entity with a muscular body. Like,
oh my God.
Body like a bodybuilder. It made me think Mothman, kind of, Yeah. And other residents have reported hearing a bizarre sound supposedly made by the creature when it's in the area. So, of course...
Did they describe the sound?
It does not describe the sound, but the local media has really taken a hold of this. They've done tons of stories on it, lots of articles on the Gargola de Barceloneta.
Yeah.
I guess, I know I'm not saying that exactly right, but yes, it's actually become a sensation. But this, this man, Mr. Rodriguez, he is steadfast about what he saw. He claims he absolutely saw it. Even people that laugh at him, he's like, look, there are things in this world we don't understand, and I know what I saw. And of course, you have all these animals, chickens, roosters, things like that are now showing up, with all the blood sucked out.
Right.
So obviously, very strange something going on.
That really is. It's crazy, especially happening all over at the same time like that. What is going on?
I don't know. And of course, a bunch of the locals in this area were planning on trying to go out and see if they could find it, but there's no word on how that's worked out yet.
how
that turned out.
How that posse is going.
Right.
Oh, Jesus.
Looking for the gargoyle.
The villagers have the torches.
It's interesting that he used the word gargoyle to describe it, I guess, because it's winged and it was so muscular.
It is. That's why you asked me about that dream I had, isn't it? With the thing that looks like a gargoyle on the chest.
No, but I was going to point out that, gargoyles do look like demons, and that's what made me think of the Mothman thing.
Right.
Because that's what I would have correlated that with.
So it's like the dream I had. It's what it reminds me of anyway, because that dream I was telling you about that I had with the thing sitting on the chest. I had a dream of the picture, not on my chest.
Right.
Of the painting, of the oil painting by Fuseli, the nightmare.
Oh, yeah, with the gargoyle sitting on the sleeping woman.
Right.
Yeah. Did you ever notice that weird, creepy horse off to the side? That always creeped me out. Like, yes, there's a gargoyle sitting this woman, but then you know, like this weird horse staring in from the side. Look at the picture again.
Hold on a second. I'm going to look it up.
Okay.
Fusely, the nightmare. What the hell? What's that horse doing?
I don't know. I'm sure there's a reason for it.
Oh, you've ruined this for me forever. Why is there a creepy horse? And why does he look? He looks like one of the cross eyes and stuff, all Family Guy, you know? What's the horse doing in the bedroom?
I don't know. I like his paintings, though.
Yeah, I don't like that woman anymore. She's suspect. It's like she got the devil and the horse.
But there is a creepy gargoyle.
Yeah,
Yes.
and it's from the 1700s. It's kind of like the 70s. Everything's creepier in the 1700s.
That's right. It absolutely is.
I don't know. Maybe is the 1600s creepy? The 1500s are creepier. Like if you hear about it, because the 1500s there's not any good literary, backing of it. It's like, yes, they were in this monastery, and it's like all the good stories, you know, like where the devil visits somebody and they were had to freaking write a book all night, and I love those kind of stories.
I do too.
I mean, I don't want the devil to visit me,
right?
But if he does, I would love to have to be forced to write a book all night.
Right. You want there to be a legend associated.
I want there to be something cool.
Right.
It's like he had to tattoo a chicken, you know? I don't know. We still have the chicken. It's been passed down, you know?
It's mummified. It's great. All right. Well, shall we move on?
We should, probably.
Okay. So there's one more story that kind of goes along with the weird animals missing blood
tattoo chickens
theme. Yeah, not tattooed chickens. But this is more of a supposed alleged demon possession kind of story. So this is about a man in a Cambodian village. You know it's bad.
A lot of jokes start like that.
You know it's bad 'cause it's in a village. He was arrested because he allegedly became possessed by an evil spirit that caused him to attack animals and drink their blood.
Jesus.
Isn't that strange? So supposedly this man, he's only 24, he was a farmer living in the district, that he became drunk on a bottle of wine. You know, why he lived with his parents were gone.
Right.
And he got a little bit drunk. But after he became drunk, he supposedly seemed to have supernatural strength. And he caught his 3 dogs.
It's happened to me before.
He caught his 3 dogs one at a time, and he killed them by sucking their blood. And he just kept doing it. I mean, like he bit them while they were alive and sucked their blood out till they died.
God.
And so after he killed his dogs, he caught a hen and a female cat and did the same thing to them. And so that after killing all the animals, he went to sleep and his parents returned, and they claimed that he did not look like himself, that he looked like what they called a fierce ghost. They said he looked very cruel and like a ghost. So his parents and the villagers didn't even want to go close to him or go in the house or anything. So his mom reported him to the police the next day, and the police came and arrested him. And after his arrest, the mother asked the police to please take him to the chief monk in the village to be exorcised, because she was sure that something evil was going on. So they took him to the monk. The monk threw some holy water on him, and he started acting normally. And so according to the Buddhist monk, he said that he sucked the blood out of the animals because he was possessed by a ghost, and the ghost made him cruel and drove him to do what he had done. And that he, the police didn't detain him or charge him with any crime because all the animals that he killed were his own animals. He didn't hurt any people, but he did stay at the pagoda for further cleansing rituals. Like he decided to stay with the monks for a little while to make sure that he was fully cleansed. But the whole story was just really unusual, that something of that nature could happen just from drinking a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very, very crazy with everything else we've been hearing. It's getting me kind of...
First eyewitness accounts of this grisly development came from people who were understandably frightened and almost incoherent. Officials and newsmen at first discounted those eyewitness descriptions as being beyond belief. However, the reports persisted. Medical examinations of some of the victims bore out the fact that they had been partially devoured. I think we have some late word of just arriving, and I'll interrupt to bring this to you. This is the latest disclosure in a report from National Civil Defense Headquarters in Washington. It has been established that persons who have recently died have been returning to life and committing acts of murder.
Sorry, it's the first thing I think of. It's
Couldn't
time.
resist, huh?
It is time. Night of the Living Dead. My God, I've watched that movie 5,000 times. This is so crazy. I mean, all this stuff together, like one story by itself. In this case,
Right.
we may be like, oh, here's a story. You know, put it at the end of the news.
Right.
But when you have that many together,
Right.
that's weird.
It is. And, it makes you wonder that can some kind of possession, like demon possession or just being possessed by an evil spirit, can that really cause you to be vampire, to do vampirism?
Yes.
And,
I truly believe that a demon possession can cause you to do, I think it can change your features. I think that it can change, obviously it changes your behavior, but I believe that a demon possession can make you the Wolfman. I think it can make you, in so many ways, it can do just about anything vile to you.
Yes.
And I believe that sucking the blood out of animals would be one of those things that it would get off on.
Well, what was so horrifying for me is that it wasn't like he killed the animal and drank its blood. Like he bit it and sucked its blood till it died. Which is...
I'm surprised that cat didn't mess him up.
Which is horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that anyone in their right mind would do something like that to their own animals,
Well, or to your neighbor's animals.
Right, or to any animals.
You made it sound like, I suck my neighbor's dog all the time. He barely comes around anymore. Hey, Barney.
Well, definitely a very disturbing story.
Yeah, no, it is. It's very disturbing. And, to answer the hypothetical question, yeah. The demon possession is real. And it's the most hardcore, hellish, no pun intended,
right,
form of what we do. I think that if I've ever seen or heard of cases that would cover, it would be this, but I'm not so sure this is of that plane. This sounds more crypto. This sounds like some kind of creature that is out there, all except for that last story. I want to link them all together,
right?
But that last story just sounds like a poor, insane person.
Right. No, I don't think that the other stories were people doing it.
Yeah.
That just doesn't make any sense. It's just this one kind of went along with it, and
it does.
I thought it was really interesting that he had superhuman strength, because that really does point to some kind of possession.
It does.
Obviously,
yeah, it does. It makes you think of the werewolf case and the Warren stories from England.
Right. Well, I wish we knew more about this person's background, because it said that it happened after he got drunk, which, being drunk is kind of not really a weakness, but it would make you more susceptible to being possessed if
Absolutely.
you were not in your right mind.
No, absolutely. If you were drinking alcohol.
Yeah, so if he already had something around him, or, working on him, or, who knows what his life is like day to day.
Yeah.
This could have just been the opening it needed.
How you don't know how long somebody can be oppressed.
Exactly.
A lot of times I believe that alcoholism, which is a terrible disease that I had suffered from myself in the past. Full disclosure and vulnerability. I haven't taken a drink in 8 years, and but at some of our darker times, I was drinking nearly every day, and it was some of the highest forms of our paranormal activity as well. That was happening, and I believe that negativity was all part of the same forces working against us and against our family because of the things we investigate and the things that we've done. And we did open ourselves up for that long ago. And well before any of this alcohol or anything else happened. And I'm not saying, it's the devil's, you know what, man, I love a good Jack and Coke, and I would still sit here and have one right now if it wasn't for the fact of what we went through in the paranormal world.
Right.
It's not, I think it does open you up.
It does. And I mean, it can, especially if you're the kind of person that has a problem with that. That's the whole key to it. Like if it's something that is a weakness for you, that's where you get that. Anything can be a weakness for you. If we learned early on that you shouldn't investigate if you have some kind of problem, some kind of it could be anything. Maybe you broke up with your boyfriend that day and you're really upset or depressed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or that gives you a point of attack, a point where things can't attack you.
Ghost hunting is like tripping acid.
It is kind of.
And you don't want to put that triple hit sugarcoat Jerry Garcia on your tongue, or in your eye or whatever.
I don't know how it works.
Well, me either. I've never even heard of any of it. But you don't want to hit that acid if you just got in a fight or you're angry. You want to be in a great frame of mind and not scared, and maybe laying on the top of a mountain somewhere with a bunch of cuddly stuffed animals. I don't know. If you take it with you, man, and we've noticed time after time on investigations that people that are around us, that if they were having like a fight, they were not having a good time or something. I go back to one of the most amazing places we ever did together. We were not at our best place, and it was an otherwise normal looking building, and it really shouldn't have been the kind of activity we had there. Right. But we had some really dark EVPs from that place. And, it's been a decade since you and I have had any kind of issues. Like couples go through rough spots, right? Right. And we have had our rough spots with each other, and very rarely, very, very rarely, so rarely that we can pinpoint those times. But, that was one of those times, and we went into this investigation of this building, and there was several levels to the building, but every single level had its own different kind of personality, and it was like we got the most out of it that you could, and nobody else was getting the stuff that we were getting. And I think there's a reason for that. And that, in that place, we were able to literally say jump, and the spirits were like, how high? Literally, Stacy would ask things to happen, and they would happen for me on equipment that I had and everything else. All that place, because I think it was stuff we were bringing in, negativity we were bringing in. And, so yeah, absolutely. I believe that there's a whole lot there. And when it knows that you're at your weakest, because man, it wants you there. Yeah. Absolutely. They absolutely want you there. They want you to feel like nobody loves you. They want you to feel like everybody's against you. They want you by yourself. They want you completely, dependent on something. Right. And when you're beaten down, you are going to be susceptible to this, and you're not going to think it's a demon. Of course not. They don't want you to. They don't want you to. That's how the real demons work. Yeah, they don't. You're not going to know. You're not going to know until it's too late. Exactly. And if you have someone who loves you, they're hopefully going to be able to pull you out and help you along. But that's scary, man. Everything that's going on there is very scary. That story on the guy chewing up those animals is horrifying. It really is. It really is. And so, but I just wanted to add it in there just because of all the weirdness that had been going on,
with the other animals and things
Absolutely.
like that.
If anybody out there has any local stories, I ask for that, and we get it a lot of times. If anybody else has any local stories of any kind of like cattle mutilation or any kind of livestock being messed with, or anything from your local news or local stories, even people you know, even in the past 3 months, something like that, let us know, since this is going on around the globe. Very interesting. So let's find patterns here. And, we rely on everyone out there, because basically Stacy and I look at every one of you like a street team. And we love to communicate with all of you. And we get some really great communication. Sometimes I get people that are like, hey, we're in a van in this parking lot, and, we're seeing this. And other people, over the road drivers, which probably my favorite, just because of how much time they have, windshield time to see stuff.
Absolutely.
And then people that, stay-at-home moms that are also very vigilant on what they're seeing around. There's so much out there that we consider it like one huge umbrella, one big web of information, that for paranormal. And I love that. Absolutely love that. The fact that everybody communicates with us so well on that kind of stuff. So definitely on this one, eyes open, ears open, let us know what you see.
Yes. Well, I wanted to mention this other story because when I was doing that, when I was getting the information of that last story, and when I was thinking about the whole connection with the vampirism and stuff, I noticed that there were articles about, people that do identify as vampires, in real life.
Right.
They're very secretive, but there are people out there that do drink blood as their practice, as their spiritual practice or whatever. And it's not like they're killing people. They have people that donate.
Does it not make you sick?
That sort of thing. I guess not. I don't know.
I don't know.
There is a man that wrote a book about it, and you can read. He was actually allowed to interview a group of people that live very secretly,
so
but
literally
they
interview with a vampire.
Yeah, exactly. And got a lot of the information about it, and it's very interesting. But it led me to this article about a study about how young blood is an elixir that prevents age-related diseases. Now, this kind of goes into a conspiracy theory a little bit.
Yes.
Because that is something that it is said that very rich people do.
That's stuff that I personally, some of the, for those of you who don't know, because we don't go into it on the show, and the reason we don't usually is because of the political ramifications. We try to stay apolitical, right, with the show, because that's not why you come here.
Right. This isn't a political show.
Yeah, that's not why you come here. We want this to be a safe zone where weird people can come no matter what you believe in.
Exactly.
And have fun and enjoy, and we love you all. Okay? So a lot of the conspiracy theories normally lean either left or right. Right. And, if you want to talk about the pizza stuff, that's sort of a right-leaning one. You want to talk about, some Russia stuff, that's a left-leaning one, right? So there's a lot of conspiracy theories out there. Right. But then there's the elite, and I consider them open game. So, the government and the elite, because here's the truth of it is, okay? They're all working on the same team. I mean, ultimately, I believe that most of them are, I believe there's some kind of shadow government that definitely, and by shadow government, not necessarily guys in robes, right, but big corporations that say, okay, look,
the guys in robes work at CERN.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the funny thing is, we say not guys in robes, but it's guys in robes. Right. They put the robes and the goat heads on and all that stuff. Of course they do.
Because why wouldn't you?
Yeah, and one of the big things that's been going around this summer, especially, is some of these conspiracy theories and the drinking the blood of the young. I read this whole long, drawn out thing about the elite or whatever, and some of the practices. So that's very interesting that you're...
Well, it's interesting because I think that we actually mentioned this before, because I think a while back we talked about a startup company that was coming out that was actually backed by PayPal co-founder Peter Thiel. And it's called Ambrosia. And it actually hasn't started yet. If you go to, there is a website. It's like Ambrosia Plasma or something like that. It just says coming soon. But this is a study that supposedly was done with them by the University College London, a geneticist named Linda Partridge. And what they did was they tested the effect of younger plasma on older people.
Right. I do remember.
Yeah. And so the research actually shows that young blood could allow humans to live a life free of diseases such as cancer and heart disease right up into their deaths. Like, this is something that they found actually is a thing that works. And we're not talking about drinking actual blood. You know, it's like the plasma, like, you know, you would do at a plasma donation center or whatever.
Right.
But this is actually a startup company that I believe is going to sell young plasma to older customers, because in this particular article it says that you can get teenage blood plasma at a cost of $8,000 for 2.5 liters.
So how often do you have to do it? Is it a transfusion? Is it?
You know, it doesn't really say, because this article is more about the test that they did on mice.
Go, you know, buy one myself. And
I mean, supposedly once this company gets started, it seems to me if you have the money, you can buy the plasma. And
what if we get a willing teenager to sign a disclosure?
I am not quite sure how that works. I don't know.
I'll tell you how it works.
Implications
Is
on
we
that.
go down to the Save-A-Lot and we stand out. We stand out front. And we're like, "Hey, you want some beer? I'll buy you some beer. It's gonna take about an hour. I need you to stick this plastic tube in your arm." And
well, I'm gonna link to this article because the study is actually pretty.
Just stare at my pretty wife.
Pretty interesting.
Stare at me. Isn't she pretty?
No, the study was done. I can hear you. Yeah, the study was done with mice. And it said that the older mice did not develop age-related diseases after being given young blood. But if they had young mice and they gave it older blood, then it had the opposite effect. So obviously it is something that they feel really works, and they want to start marketing it to people that can afford it.
Oh, well, that's all the more reason for me to promote it.
Yeah, there you go.
So I'm gonna have to. I'm already like pridefully the best at what I do. So I'm going to now try even harder.
Right. So it's just, I don't know.
You're totally the woman that would have like the farm of young girls.
I'm Mother Gothel in Rapunzel.
I'm just telling you, I could totally see that. You're that type of witch. It's just, you'd be there.
They're just my helpers.
Come, darling.
Yes.
I wonder if it can reverse the age that you've already got. Like,
I don't really know. I'm not sure. I don't think that it actually makes you younger per se. I think it just...
They got to be getting closer to that.
I would think so. I mean, there's all kinds of articles out there where there are people working on that where they feel like, you know, getting older, people just accept it. And they're like, you know, getting older is the number one killer of people, obviously.
So I've got an idea.
So they're trying to stop aging.
Well, okay, so we obviously have a population problem, right? Mm-hmm. So the more healthcare gets...
Right. So now they want people not to die.
No. That's what I'm saying. We know that the elite want people to die. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Because of the population crisis, right?
Right.
You even see popular culture, like the movie with Thanos. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So even stuff like that, where he's putting that out there, like, if I just snap my fingers and half of everybody dies,
then everybody else can live.
Everybody can live in bliss, right?
Right.
With all this food and the
like making it okay.
Oh yeah, it would become an Eden, right? And it makes you think. When you see that, you know, it makes you think. And the guys, they almost put a little sympathy on him. You know, like...
Yeah, like he's doing the world a favor, even though it's a hard decision.
Yeah, he's misguided, right?
Right,
It's not like he's just super heel, even though he's freaking super heel.
Right.
And I think that that's a lot of Hollywood. I know that comes from a comic book. That's fine, but it's Hollywood. And I feel that things like that sometimes are putting it out there because there's way too much writing out there about, like, the Georgia Guidestones, right? look at that, read that, and you know, it's kind of like, I don't know, that kind of stuff bothers me. And I know that if they have this technology, which they probably do, you can 3D print my penis right now.
Right.
You know, so they probably have the ability to do something. We're not going to know about it.
Right.
You know, somebody's going to know about it, but we're not going to know about it.
Pretty sure I could print it with real skin too.
Really?
I don't know. I'm just saying.
Oh.
It's probably a thing.
Oh.
I mean, they 3D print organs all the time.
Did I sound too excited about that?
Maybe a little. Maybe a little.
But it's just, you know, interesting to me sometimes when I hear these things.
It is.
It's just, I don't know.
All right, well, let's move on and let's move away from the conspiracy theories for right now. And let's talk about some fast radio bursts.
Oh, they're back.
Yes, they are. And what this story is about, it's about the fast radio bursts, you know, that we've discovered.
I thought we established that when you said, let's talk about fast radio bursts.
So you remember when we did the story about how they discovered 21 FRBs. I'm trying to make it confusing. Well, they took that data where they had done the standard algorithms and they identified the 21 fast radio birth. That's not right.
Oh my God.
The 21
The government's affecting you. Wait, I gotta look out the window.
I put on some of my buzzing lip balm and now I can't talk.
You know, we're gonna have to use that buzzing lip balm. It goes, never mind.
So fast radio bursts.
There you go.
Which are much different than fast radio births. I
Yes.
know it's a
Fast
totally
radio
different
birth
thing.
sounds really, really atrocious.
So they took that data that they had.
Yes.
And they put it through a new algorithm, some artificial intelligence that did some more examining on the mountains of data that they had.
Yes. Did you say mountains of death?
No, data.
Oh, okay. All right.
And the AI
I really like the mountains of death.
actually found 72 new ones that were previously undiscovered in that same data.
Oh, so it's the same data. They just found more stuff.
Yes, exactly. A lot more. 72 more. There was only 21 to begin with.
Oh, okay. All right.
So it's actually something that happens quite a lot. And they still have no idea how, where it's coming from, what it's for. But obviously, it happens a lot more often than we even knew. But, you know, it's not a pattern. There's no pattern to it. They can't figure out any kind of pattern. It just seems very random.
It's very crazy is what it is.
Yes.
Do you think it's weird that we had the big, you know, cylinder come through from Interstellar, like the first interstellar object ever? That we've had all this crazy stuff happen, and we've had the thing happen with the shutdown of the observatory. We've had the weird stuff happening on the ISS, which is unexplainable as well.
Right.
And we've had the fast radio bursts that have been happening. And
that
of course,
they're all of a sudden just discovering.
right. And they just all of a sudden just discovered all these new Earth-like planets, and it's just a lot of stuff all
at once.
Yeah, all in a very short period of time.
It is. And, you know, we always talk about the slow disclosure and how they're trying to do it by using, you know, articles and different things that sort of, and it's funny that you mentioned that because my next article kind of goes along with that little theory about the slow disclosure, how they just randomly put things out here and there, just, you know, editorial pieces here and there with, you know, what if this or what if that, but it's all to get you used to the idea
always
that, you know, there is alien life or that we're going to find it, or, you know, that alien civilizations are sending signals this direction.
People are completely desensitized to it. If you were to talk about that, aliens being a reality in 1985, people would have laughed in your face. They would have beat you half to death with a Bible and would have sent you running back home, right?
Right.
Now, people take it almost as a certainty.
Right. They're like, yeah, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, I mean, honestly, it's going to be a big deal. Okay, when we see a life form, when we see a life form from another planet, there's going to be
chaos. That's what there's going to be.
But is it going to be the chaos that there once was? Is it going to be the running in the streets?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't think people are going to start jumping from buildings.
I don't think so either. I think it's going to be trending worldwide on Twitter, you know?
Oh, people will have their cell phones out taking
about.
pictures.
No, I mean, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where we're at now that we're going to be rioting in the streets.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we're still there. But I do believe that a larger portion of the population is ready for some kind of disclosure. Maybe at least the fact of we have communicated with them in the past.
Right.
We do have pictures and maybe show it to us that way.
Right. Little snippets.
A little snippet. Instead of, hey, we're actually ruled by these people. There's 21 different ones. There's some that live underneath you.
Right. I mean, I don't disagree with slow disclosure. I mean, at least there's some kind of disclosure going on.
I hope it's not so slow that I don't see it in my lifetime.
No, I don't think so. Because we had all those articles where like within the next 20 years and things like that. I think that was really a timeline.
Yeah.
I think that was really something they were shooting for. Like everybody's going to know by then.
Yeah.
So, but this next article that I have kind of goes along with that because it's a article about some supposed new research that suggests that alien life could exist on worlds overflowing with water.
Well, of course.
And so the reason they put this out is because previously the research showed that it was unlikely that worlds overflowing with water could have any kind of alien life. So now they've done this new research where they simulated different atmospheres and, things like that, used the information that they have, newer information, and decided that alien life could in fact exist on different worlds that are overflowing with water.
Well, I thought that Earth was overflowing with water.
It is.
Well, then shouldn't life... I mean, I really thought water was like the main component of life.
Right, it is. But it says that the past research said that these so-called like water worlds, these other planets have lots of water, could be unfriendly to life because they don't allow for mineral and gas cycling. Like Earth has
Plants.
like the greenhouse effect, And they didn't think that is something that could happen and it couldn't sustain habitability for a long enough time for life to form.
Yeah, life finds a way.
Exactly. But they actually have decided through some different simulations that they've done that is probably not the case, that in fact there could be life on those planets. And I've always agreed with that because it always seems to me that when they try to do the thing about alien life, they always try to make the life like us. Like they're looking for life like us, and that might not be the case. It could be totally different life, that survives a different way.
Right, and they find life that is able to survive in space, even if it's a microbe. They find this, deepest cave ever, and that's something else that's every 6 months or every 3 months. We didn't think there was any possible way there could be something here.
Exactly.
And it's there.
Yeah. Exactly. I think I even went past some kind of article where they found like a bunch of new species of fish in the Mariana Trench, the deepest part of the ocean, because they're just now starting to be able to explore that deep, never have been able to before. And they're finding things they've never seen before.
Of course.
In places that they didn't think things could live.
Of course.
So,
there's many of them out there.
All right. So let's move on. Let's go on to a ghost sighting.
Oh, boy.
Love ghost stories. So this is a report from a police department in Rhode Island. It was actually a Facebook post, and I will link to the Facebook post from the Coventry Police Department in Rhode Island. They received a rather strange report about a mysterious woman that someone spotted, saying that it was a woman wearing a white wedding dress that mysteriously emerged out of the forest along the road. Oh my God. So, making matters more unsettling, the caller claimed that this woman was in some kind of distress and was yelling for help. So they actually called the police and was like, there's this woman yelling for help on the side of the road. She came out of the woods. She's wearing a white wedding dress.
Oh my God.
So the police officers were dispatched to the scene to investigate. But of course, when they arrived, they searched around. They couldn't find anything. There was nothing amiss. There was no sign of a woman in a wedding dress or anything like that. So they posted it on Facebook and, just asking if anybody had seen anything or, if there were any other witnesses, but also mused that perhaps, it was nighttime. Perhaps there was some sort of spirit. White wedding dress.
Yeah, I mean, that's
the typical.
Dude, that is like the Catherine's ghost. That is, that's the one that's everywhere.
Yes.
That's so crazy.
So I thought that was pretty cool.
Something about dying on your wedding night.
Something about it. I don't know. But it seems like it was an isolated incident for that night. But, it's Rhode Island. They do have all their local legends and lore.
What's so creepy about a woman in a wedding dress? Because there is something creepy about it.
I don't know. I don't know if it's because there are so many stories about the bride.
Right now, if we were to look over here and a woman appeared, would it creep you out more if she was standing there in a wedding dress or if she was standing there in like a business suit?
I am not really sure. I think a wedding dress more because like if you saw a woman wearing like a period dress, like something old timey, you could explain that in your mind, like, oh, she's from, 1860 or whatever. And she's just left here. But when you see a woman in a wedding dress, you think, oh, she's obviously died on her wedding day, so she was obviously sad or something tragic happened, and it makes it scarier.
I don't know, it's creepy to me. I think that's the epitome of the creepy for a female ghost is the lady in the wedding dress, is lady in white or whatever.
Yes.
And for little kids, it's like a little girl in a dress with the pigtails. That's creepy. The boy in the clothes from 1800s.
Yes.
With the knickers.
Yeah, and the suspenders.
Yeah.
Yes. What about the man?
What's
creepy about a man?
Black suit, man. Absolutely, yeah. Black suit and a hat, right? And just that stoic face.
Yes.
Staring through you.
Ugh. Yes, very creepy.
Yeah. You just gave me the tinny look. Ooh, no. Very tinny, very tinny.
All right. So cool ghost story. I'll link to the Facebook post so that you guys can go look at it if you want to. I'm sure there's not any other information, but you never know when someone from Rhode Island might pop up with like a local story or something. Maybe there's a explanation for that.
Yeah. And if they're from Rhode Island, they'll be glad to tell you.
Yeah. So much haunted stuff up there in New England. So much.
Absolutely.
All right, so we got a couple more stories here, just a few more. And this one, I love this one. It's about a psychic that predicted the location of a woman's beloved lost dogs.
Cool.
And I love this story because the information that the psychic gave to her, she thought was wrong at first. But then it turned out that it was actually accurate.
Oh, awesome.
So what happened was, there's a Kentucky stable owner. Her name's Melissa Moore, and she lost her dogs. And she had a customer. She's an animal communicator, psychic, that she actually sent out sometimes to talk to horses, like when clients had trouble with their horses, and sometimes they would bring in an animal communicator. And so she called her and she said, my dogs are missing. And it was like a 1-year-old German Shepherd and a 4-year-old, like just mix, and another dog that was like an elderly border collie. And
they were all missing?
All 3 of them. And normally it's a big ranch and they had the run of the place, and usually they would run off, but they would always come back, for dinner, obviously. And they didn't come back, and she was very worried. So she called the animal communicator and she explained about what happened. And the psychic told her that her lost dogs were trapped in mud, that she could see them and that they were trapped in mud, and that's why they hadn't come home. And that was all the information that she had gotten. And so, the woman's farm is like 300 acres,
right,
but there's a creek running through, and there's a lot of mud down there. So she went down and she looked and she didn't find them. And she thought, well, this is the only place that there's mud, and that must have been misinformation. And, she was really upset, and she actually had to go out of town for a horse show. And so the people that worked on the farms, they would continue to look, and it would be fine. Well, a couple weeks later, she returned home, and still the dogs had not been found.
Oh my God.
And so eventually, I think it had been like 2 weeks, and one day finally her neighbor called, and her neighbor owns a vineyard that kind of bumps up against her farm. And the neighbor said that there was a sinkhole on his property that he didn't realize was there, and he was checking it out, and when he looked down into it, he saw the dogs in the bottom of the sinkhole, stuck in the mud.
Wow.
So they were stuck in mud, just not where she thought
Wow.
that they were.
So were they there for 2 weeks?
I mean, I don't know if they were in the hole that long, but yeah, I mean, it had been 2 weeks since they disappeared.
I mean,
and
I just don't know how they survived.
I have no idea unless there was some water down there, but it was a 5.5 foot deep, 3 foot wide hole, and the walls were straight up. And they said you could see the claw marks where they were trying to get out and they couldn't, but they got him out of the hole and they just took off running home. So.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, it said that
Psychic deserves an apology.
It does say on here that they had rain the entire 2 weeks that they were missing. So I guess the hole just kept filling up with water. So they were able to survive, and it was cool down in there in the mud. It wasn't like they were too hot or anything like that.
I'm sure they were hungry, though.
I am sure they were horribly hungry. But yes, she did.
Wouldn't want to be a rabbit that fell down that hole after about the third day.
But she did, I think, talk to the communicator again and tell her, oh, hey,
sorry.
You did fine. I'm sorry. Well, she didn't say anything mean to her about it. She just,
She did under her breath.
She just didn't. They just weren't where she thought they were. She just misunderstood the message. But I thought that was a cool story. They did find them.
The messages work that way.
They do. You don't get specific information.
No.
You get a picture of a dog in mud.
Yeah.
And then you have to figure out where that is. So very interesting. All right. Another story here about a paranormal investigator that opened fire while he was on a call, a 911 call, claiming he had a home intruder, but then said it had to be a ghost because there actually wasn't anybody in his house when the police came.
Okay.
Yeah, very interesting. So what happened was this man named Christian DeVoe, he called 911 to report a home intruder. And he said the home intruder had a gun. He could see him. He ran through the house. And while he was on the phone with 911, he was yelling, hey, hey. And then he shot his gun. This is in Connecticut. And when the police came, they searched everywhere. They brought a dog in. No signs of another human in the house at all. And he claims that he shot over the intruder's head, but when the police looked to find the bullet holes, they were only 3 feet off the ground. So after they said, there hasn't been anybody here, you can't explain what was going on. He did tell them that he was a paranormal investigator and that, it must have been a ghost that he saw and just freaked out.
Wow.
So I don't know. He did actually get arrested for firing his gun in his house. I guess that is some kind of illegal activity.
But that sucks.
Yeah, it was disorderly. They claimed it was disorderly conduct and illegal discharge of a firearm, reckless endangerment, stuff like that, and that he called 911 when there wasn't really an emergency, even though he thought there was an emergency.
That sounds really unfair.
It does, and he's supposed to go to court, so I don't know how that's going to turn out.
It was in Connecticut?
It was in Connecticut.
I hope they find a 2-foot intruder.
Yeah, I know, a little midget guy.
Yeah.
I just thought that one was strange because if there really was some kind of, like if he's a paranormal investigator and we've seen shadowy things running through our house, small ones.
We have.
All the time. And, if you're scared and he thought he shot over that, maybe he did shoot over its head, and he was probably just distraught at the time and didn't realize that it was that short. Yeah. I don't know. It's a real possibility that it could have been a ghost.
Absolutely.
I hate that he got arrested for it.
Oh, it's after the mental evaluation, I would be sure that I don't know, man. It is. Here's the thing, like you said, we have seen it run through our house.
We have,
and had I had a gun handy, there's a good chance I would have shot it.
Yeah. Probably.
I mean, seriously.
Because you don't know what it is. It surprises you.
Yeah.
It surprises you.
Because if you don't know what it is, why not shoot it?
Right. Exactly.
If we don't understand it, let's kill it.
Let's just kill it. Kill it.
Humans. Hashtag humans. Why won't they give us disclosure? I don't know. I have no idea. Our semi-automatic weapons and rooftops. There's that UFO.
Look at that great technology they have. Let's shoot it with a gun. That'd be great. All right, I have one more story for you. Okay. This is for you specifically. This is about a man who was drunk and tried to steal a squirrel monkey from a zoo, a tiny squirrel monkey from a zoo. But he ended up getting beaten up somehow.
By the monkey?
Maybe. Nobody really knows. So what happened was this drunk man snuck into a New Zealand zoo. And he snuck through the gates. It was the Wellington Zoo, and he wanted to get one of the 10-inch tall squirrel monkeys, one of the little ones, I guess for his girlfriend. But the next morning, he was discovered in the pen with a broken leg and other injuries the next morning, just laying on the ground. And so they, arrested him, and he went to court, and they were like, your intention was to capture a monkey and bring it home to your girlfriend, but you weren't successful with that. And they were like, what happened in that pen? And I don't guess he ever explained exactly, or couldn't remember what happened, but he said that he had a broken leg, 2 fractured teeth, a sprained ankle, and bruises on his back. And supposedly squirrel monkeys are known to attack humans if they feel threatened. But he got in a lot of trouble because the zoo claims that the simians, the monkeys, were traumatized because he tried to capture them. And he didn't get any of them because they're all there. But apparently they whooped him good and left him laying in the bottom of the pen.
Was he
broken?
Was he covered with dew?
Oh, no. He probably wouldn't admit it if he was.
Oh my God.
But he did plead guilty because he did try to burgle the zoo.
Burgle.
Yeah, but he claims that he doesn't remember what happened.
It's because he got his ass kicked by a squirrel
by a bunch
monkey.
of 10-inch squirrel monkeys,
Yeah.
Yes.
In further news, the girlfriend's now dating the squirrel monkey.
But I thought that you would find that.
Squirrel monkey's driving a Camaro.
Find that really
Got the girl in the car with a popped up collar on his, on his polo, flipping off the guy.
So don't try to steal monkeys from the zoo. You always say you want to own a monkey. Yes, not a 10-inch squirrel monkey.
No, my monkey I want to own could rip me, limb from limb.
Yes, it could. Yes, it could.
I want an orangutan. I mean, so bad. I would sleep in the bed with it. I mean, he could sleep.
Would you?
He could sleep between us.
Yeah.
We've got a king size bed.
Yeah.
It'd just be like, good night, Clyde. He'd be like, and be like, oh.
You live in a fantasy world sometimes, I think.
Me? I live in a fantasy world?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, that's all my news.
Okay. Watch out for the rock in the glass house. Thank you for the news. All right. Well, that's a great amount of news that ends with a monkey fantasy. So, I mean, anything that ends with a monkey fantasy, yes. You can't get much better. We had some serious stuff. We had some blood sucking. We had some
crazy stuff.
Utterly ridiculous stuff.
Wow.
I didn't do it when you did the story.
You've been holding on to that one since the cow story, haven't you?
I was going to say they tried getting it to move, and there was all kinds of stuff I held on to in this one. I bit my tongue.
Yes, you did.
That cow can't do that anymore.
Oh.
Yeah, but ParanormalSideshow.com, that's where you can go find out all of our utterly ridiculous comments and all the good stuff and all these wonderful stories Stacy did today. And it's also all the linkage, all the little linkage for the Facebooks, the Tweeters, the hot damn Instagrams, and everything else. It's all there for you to partake in.
Yes.
And like we said earlier, please subscribe. Please hit the like button, and please share. Share it with love, and share it for your friends. And also, if you want to support your favorite paranormal show, go to patreon.com/Paranormal Sideshow. And there you can find all kinds of cool little levels, including levels with, love monkeys. Because we're going to make a love monkey level just for you. And don't forget, coming out soon, we're going to be published authors.
Yes.
We're soon to be published authors. I want to make that my title now. Soon to be published Arthur.
Arthur, you can change your name.
I'm a soon to be published Arthur. It's terrible. I'm really excited about that.
Yes, me too.
I got the thank yous all done, and everything's been sent. I got a timeline. Very cool. Got a release, tentative release thing. Tentative tentacles. Release, and I can't talk about that because that could change. It's not that I couldn't talk about it, because I could talk about it. It's not as secret as the other secret, but the reason I would keep it secret is just because it could change, you know? They could be like, well, let's do it here instead of here. The thing is, it's done. Maybe a couple more rewrites. You never know. Still working on the cover art.
Yes.
Very excited. Man, this book's going to be great because it's a lot of stuff. You know, we joke around here on the on the podcast, and the book's got some serious stuff in it. It's got some stuff we allude to with our lives and our paranormal lives. Right. So it's got everything, but we did it in such a way that we could leave a big story for later on. But I will say this is quite a bit, and it's very personal because of that. And there's some very personal stories that go in, and it goes all the way back. We've been writing this for a long time. You remember when we did the Confederate Ghost episode? You know, that's in there. That chapter's in there, and some of these chapters have been written for years. You know, we've had to update them a little bit, but for the majority of it's been written over the course of the past 2 years, I would say, year and a half, something like that. And you know, it's a long time coming. So we're very excited about the book, and I'm sure that when it does come, we will make a different level on the Patreon too for
absolutely
for the autograph book and all that. And so, and you know, I can't wait, man. I'm just excited to share the story out there and for people, and I'm pretty proud of it. And of course, there is a lot of comedy too, because it's us, of course. So we wrote it like from the perspective of you're sitting in a room talking to us. Yes. And I think that because it's John and Stacy the way it should be. So good stuff. And you know, I'm looking forward to a lot of things that are coming up. Still very serious about going through with some of the interviews and having some people come on, some very special people come on and do some interviews with us, because we haven't done the interview thing in a while. No, not in a while. Very soon, I also want to have some topic shows, some roundtable shows. Working on that. Absolutely. So we're just getting settled in. We're just getting in our groove here in the South. A lot of things we've got planned, and people we've already talked to about coming on and stuff. So a lot of excitement, and we're so happy that you guys are along for the ride. And once again, our thoughts and our prayers are with anybody affected with the current weather situation in the Carolinas and the one brewing down in the Gulf. You know, as always, we love each and one of you, just like you're a member of our family. So if you know anything weird, get a hold of us. Other than that, for my lovely wife, Stacy, my name's John, and so long from the Sideshow. Good night. Hey guys, if you like what you've heard, please check out ParanormalSideshow.com and follow the links for our weekly podcast. Also, become a Sideshow off yourself and pick one of our killer levels on our Patreon to help support the channel and to help keep us bringing you bigger and better content. So until next week, for my lovely wife Stacy, I'm John Edwards. So long and stay strange.